Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, it's my privilege to be here to talk to you about this notion of disruptive innovation. According to the time that I was given, and it looks like I picked up about 2 or 3 minutes addition, I will be done by about a quarter after. Let me set the stage on this notion of disruptive innovation. Let me tell you what's going on within our state, a little bit nationally, and quickly move to why disruptive innovation. Within the state of Arizona, we are having some unsettled times. Some would think that it began in 2007-8 when the recession started nationally. I would say that it probably began some 25 or 30 years ago. And as you watch the progression of what has happened in the state was out of control for many years. They never took serious these up and down cycles that we go through within Arizona. So in approximately 2007-8, when it was declared a recession, we were looking at what's going to happen within the state, nationally, but specifically within Maricopa. We had gone from a high of state funding in about 1986-87 to that was about 27-28%. When we looked up in 2007-8, at that time we were down to about 9% from the state of Arizona. 1980, there was zero tuition charge in the Maricopa system. So as the state started to drop, tuition started to pick up. We fast forward to 2008, 9, 10, 11, 11, 12. We are now at 1% funding from the state of Arizona. Tuition is now 28, 29% share of our budget. Property taxes has held pretty steady. Within about 1 year from now, 2013, end of 2000, fiscal year 13-14, the state will have decided what's going to happen with this notion of the 1% temporary sales tax. And if it goes away, that will be another cliff that the state will have to deal with. And that 1% will go away. We will have the distinct privilege of being the first community college in the state of Arizona, and possibly two, Yavapai Region second, that will be without any state funding at all. So one of the questions is, what kind of relationship will we have with the state of Arizona moving forward if they have no funding contributing to our resources? They would tell you that they will still have a lot of control. In 2002, they eliminated the state community college board, so we've been without a state community college board since 2002. We've been in 10 community college districts trying to work together as a collaborative to move change. We lost our seat at the table. So when they ask questions about how will this impact community colleges, they don't know who to go to. They try to go to the state presidents, but if any money comes through, it flows through a state agency. When there are opportunities to talk to folks at the legislature, they have a state agency speak on our behalf who has no relationship to us. So we then have to find ways to speak. And I've been setting that as a tone because on top of all of this, with the recession dropping, within the first 3 years of the recession, we grew 33,000 students. 33,000. We served at the end of last fiscal year, June 30th of 2011, 275,000 students in the Maricopa system. 275,000. A lot of that, credit hours and face-to-face, was done by Adjunct. A significant portion of it was done by Adjunct. So our mix and our system has started to change. Over that period of time, we have given back to the state of Arizona in excess of $60 million. $60 million. So now what happens? The board in the fall of 2010 picked up on President Obama's charge on completion. The president believes that the community colleges are the basis for change in the nation. That the community colleges provide more people jobs than any other institution of education in this United States. And that's the same for Arizona. We provide more teachers, more allied health workers, more police, and more firemen than anyone else in this state. So that's a lot of pressure, because they're looking for us to change, rebuild the economy, and move forward. So the president has a charge. The charge says to double the number of certificates and degrees by the year 2020. The American Association of Community Colleges picks this up. Our governing board in the fall of 2010 passed a resolution saying that we will double the number of certificates and degrees by the year 2020. While at the same time, our funding is dropping precipitously. So what happens? We have this big goal out in front of us now. We have this big charge. The board starts to come together collectively as a body. They move from being a group that is not civil to one another, not civil to employees and staff, wanting to control the system, to manage the system, to run day to day, to now trying to say we are a collective body. We have this charge. How do we move forward? We got 2 new board members. We're starting to move together. The board in January of 2011 reviewed their own policy manuals, reaffirmed their own policies, adopted 4 major outcomes: university transfer, gen ed, developmental ed, global community engagement, and workforce. Under all of this, we place an umbrella on top of it. Is student success. That's the umbrella of our 4 outcomes. As we looked at those 4 outcomes, I started to say, what are the things that we can do to move the organization forward? How can we stay true to this goal in earnest and find some way to replace this leg of our stool, which is a declining and eliminating resource, to something that's more stable, more predictable? And how do we get engaged? So we started hearing about this notion of disruptive innovation, disruptive innovative theory, and what did it mean? How did it help to catalyze organizations in the past? And how does it help to catalyze organizations moving forward? Community colleges are described as a disruptive innovation because we came around in the early 1960s or so, and we disrupted this notion of providing another opportunity for students to achieve a college education, to be able to have a lower price point, access to education. And that's what we're all about, access to education. And I proffer to you that this whole notion of the completion agenda is causing community colleges and others to think about how do we connect community college access to the completion agenda, and also to this notion that we're moving towards accountability funding or performance funding. Some people are saying if we close our doors or limit our access, then those students who are there that have the ability to achieve will help us increase our numbers. So therefore, we can meet our goals. I think that's kind of cheating a little bit myself. But there are institutions that are moving in that direction. But what this delivery of education is charging us to look at right now is how do we use our people, our technology, and our processes to move forward. So I chose disruptive innovation as a framework, a theoretical framework, to look at how we can organize our delivery of service, optimize this notion of quality, and quality is at the forefront, but affordability is still there. We cannot go back to our colleges, to our community, and continue to ask for property tax increase and or tuition increase. Our board supported us last year for the first time in 3 years, and you see that we are not asking for a tuition increase or a property tax increase this past for the upcoming year, but we're still trying to move forward. So we want to build a stronger understanding in a policy that allows us to move forward. So as we look at disruptive innovation, we had Louis Soares come in and visit with the Chancellor's Executive Council. He met with the board, and we talked about transforming our organizations. And he gave some examples here. You see the cell phone was disruptive from the fixed lines of telephones. Community colleges to 4-year. Discount retailers to full-service department stores. The one that's not on this list that I would believe will be coming in the next 4 to 5 years will be community college baccalaureates in Arizona. That will be disruptive to everything that is happening in the state, but it is necessary in the state of Arizona. Right now, we have been very successful in working with the state universities, and you probably heard more recently we signed an agreement with the University of Arizona, which is unprecedented. We have an articulation agreement with Arizona State University, Northern Arizona, located on all of our college campuses. We have developed pathway programs. We've developed, talking about regional universities and others, where the price point to get a bachelor's degree is at least 40 to 50% of where it was prior to 2007-8. So we are moving and we're providing more access to our students, but there's still more yet to come, and I believe that baccalaureate degrees will be on that table. Disruptive innovation for us right now is tied to goals that I chose to move forward in this organization. Under the notion of student success, I asked the board to support me in a seamless student experience. Many of our students morph between one or more of our colleges, just like I saw adjunct faculty that are morphing between more than one. But what we found by doing a mind mapping activity was that there are 10 separate processes for admissions at all of our colleges, 10 separate processes for financial aid, that you register into all 10. So I am recommending that over the next 18 to 24 months, and in many cases as we finish this will be up to 3 years, that we register into the Maricopa Community Colleges. You register once, you go to any college you want to go to. You pick the college. You apply to one of our colleges once, so you have one admissions form, one FAFSA. Sounds like it's a good thing to do, but why haven't we done it? To us, it's going to be disruptive because it's the fear of, if I have a job in financial aid now, if I have a job in admissions now, where will my job be as we figure out this balance of people, technology, and resources? I challenge individuals to say that if they work with us over this period of time, as we configure ourselves, that if you're willing to be retrained, to look at other opportunities, that we will find an opportunity for you. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but we are an organization that is serving 275,000 now, and if we position ourselves so when the recession is over, we will serve millions and millions of more individuals coming into the valley, and they will be coming to our institutions because of the quality and of the access, and because we are supporting this notion of seamless student experience. I asked Dr. Paul Dale and Dr. Ernie Lara to head up this initiative representing the Chancellor's Executive Council. We are hiring individuals from our colleges, and we'll be hiring other individuals who will help us move this needle forward. The disruptive piece about all of this is at the same time we're going down parallel tracks. We're going down parallel tracks so that we can rebuild our revenue structure. We're going down a parallel track to engage our governing board so that they will be understanding and aware and help us lead this change. They cannot be passive. The Chancellor's Executive Council cannot be passive. We cannot have 10 separate colleges going 10 different directions. We cannot have colleges reviewing a transcript of one college, and then when a student transfers to the next, the other college reviews it because they do not trust the other sister college. It happens. It's happening now. If we can't trust one another, how can we trust others? What message does that send to our community, to our students? So if you scan it once, so document imaging becomes one of the major pieces. You scan the document, they fill out the protocol, it's available to everyone in the district, and it is a step that we do not have to do anymore. Under this notion is what I have been pushing for the last few years is One Maricopa. One Maricopa is about thinking and acting as a system, but recognizing that you're serving 10 different communities. But when we started in the early 60s, we had Mesa on one side of the town, we had Glendale on the other, and we had 6-mile concentric circles that we were serving. As we added new colleges, those 6-mile concentric circles started to overlap. And as they've overlapped with 10 colleges, you know, we have students that are swirling, but we now have freeways, we have other access points. We need to regionalize more. We need to think about what's the cost of adding new programs. We need to think about this notion of hybrid versus face-to-face. What does that mean? Previously, when we sold our bonds, the majority of the money was for construction, bricks and mortar. So as we look forward, and the last bond we sold was in 2004. Excuse me, the last one we passed was $951 million in 2004. We were scheduled for 2014. Due to the economy, we're looking at 2016. But we're having discussions now about what's the mix. Where does technology play a major role in terms of us moving forward? So what I'm telling individuals about disruptive innovation is that over the next few years in this organization, it will be uncomfortable. It will not be uncertain, but it will be uncomfortable. Because I will be challenging people to think differently, to act differently, to engage, and to decide first and foremost if they want to be a part of this organization. I'm not asking anybody to leave, but I'm definitely telling you if you don't like the way it is going to look, then I am not going to stop anyone. We are moving to what are now called non-negotiables. Registering into the Maricopa system is a non-negotiable. One financial aid process is a non-negotiable. One admissions process is a non-negotiable. We will not debate at any college about whether or not this is the right thing to do. It is a non-negotiable. The only thing I'm asking is how soon do we get there, what resources do you need, and let's do it, and let's do it tomorrow. So that's the focus. If you start to work and move in the system will change. Productivity will change. It will be extremely positive. We will be more effective and more efficient. We have demonstrated that we can survive out of any institution here in the Valley. We are still the most financially stable. We have weathered the last 4 years in excess of the monies taken from us with the state. We've reduced our budgets in many different areas. But we need to maintain the quality level. We need to boost in many areas. We need to think about things, all else being equal. Do we need to operate the way we did many years ago? What will our students look like? What are our students asking for now? What are they demanding us to do in order to meet their needs? Productivity is the driver in the state of Arizona. For us to double the number of certificates and degrees within Maricopa is one thing. To do it within the state and nationally is another. Because we cannot do it without private institutions. We can't just do it with publics alone. So our future is our partnerships in the university, with the public institutions, online, across the water, and whoever wants to have service from our institutions. The mix of people, technology, facilities, equipment, and financial are challenges. We are looking to this question about what does it mean for us to privatize portions of our organization? What does it mean to develop a separate 501c3 so that we can bring resources into our organization and use them in areas that we believe are discretionary for change and not have them subject to the state expenditure limitation. Now, any monies that come within our college are considered to be fungible, which means that they belong to the state of Arizona, that they can come in and take our monies whenever they want. We have been able to survive and build a cash reserve in our general fund that stands today approximately $154, $156 million. The state is saying that's too much money. They've been sweeping money from other entities around. How many days of operation do you believe that is for the Maricopa system? Any idea? What? Couple of weeks? 94 days? It's about 72 days of operation. 72 days of operations. Would you like to be wondering whether or not your paycheck is going to get paid? We have been the only institution, the community college sector, that has not had their resources. You know, the public school systems defer. They have the state come in and say, we're going to take money from you, so we're going to skip your monthly payment. We're the only organization, institution, community colleges in the state to not have had that happen. If the state were to do that, we would have to have monies to pay our bill. But during this entire time, since 2007, since about 2006, 5, 6 to now, we have reaffirmed a AAA bond rating from all three houses 4 times, because we've only gone out 4 times, okay? But we are one of 2 in the nation to have a AAA bond rating from all 3 houses. We're financially stable. So they believe that we can control our own future. They believe we can manage our future. They support us. But we have to have planning. We have to have a board structure and a community behind us to do our jobs. Disruptive innovation aligns with the One Maricopa vision. It aligns with a philosophy of change in this organization. And I think change is good. The approach that we're using is one of engagement, conversation, and it's one to say that we cannot go backwards, we have to go forward. We need to look at those valuable assets in our system and figure out how we can support those assets, such as adjunct faculty and others, to keep them engaged, because we have sustained ourselves because of you and others. And we need you to stay with us. So we need you to understand what's happening. We need you to question. I don't say that I have all the answers. I'm not looking to have all the answers. I will not hire anybody that thinks like me. I need to hire people that think differently. The presidents and vice chancellors that you see here today are individuals that have minds of their own, that work with their own individual colleges, and are looking to change. But we cannot go back to our 10 colleges and believe that we're in isolation. So that's what disruptive innovation is about. Some think that it may water down quality, because if we start offering baccalaureate degrees, or we now offer associate degrees, that community colleges are considered the lesser of the higher ed sector, so therefore the quality is less. But let me tell you what's happening with the pathway programs and so forth with our state university. They have found that students who come to us, who stay with us through the Arizona General Education curriculum, 35 credit hours and or an associate degree, who choose to transfer and go to a state university do as well as or better than a student who starts as a freshman and graduates. That is by their data, not ours. Students who are in the Pathway program now are incented to stay with us or encouraged for financial reasons because they get a discount if they choose to go to the university. And there's a goal that gets them in and out within a total of 5 years. So at least 1 year less than the average graduation rate from a four-year institution in Arizona now. There's a lot of positive things that are happening. But what we're talking about are metrics, both outcome and progress metrics, that are based on our population, not what the Goldwater Institute and others look at, and not what they look for in terms of universities. We're looking at progress through developmental ed, progress to a certificate, progress to the HA, progress to an associate degree. If you transfer before you receive an associate degree, and you're within 2 courses or 3 courses, you get that at the university. We're talking about reverse transfer of credit so that we get some completion, some credit for this. We're thinking differently. But it's all about student success. So, these are some of the questions that I asked the CEC and the board to think about. What are the thoughts on disruptive innovation? What are some examples? And what disruptive innovations do you see affecting us? How can Maricopa use ideas around disruptive innovation to think differently about the services and products to improve? But a lot deals with this notion about funding. And one of the things that you will be hearing, and we're spending a lot of time on it right now, and I talked about this separate 501c because it has to occur. It has to occur. We're talking about this notion of jobs. We did not bemoan the fact, I didn't bemoan the fact in front of the Appropriations Committee of both the House and the Senate that they came in and they took $60 million from us. They took half of that, over half of it, $40 million, almost $40 million, July 1st of this fiscal year. In one fell swoop, they came in and took it and they said, you can increase property taxes and tuition. Go talk to your board, don't talk to us. So I said, if you don't need us to be down here talking to you about balancing your budget because you have to do that, then how can you help us meet our mission, values, and goals for our community? So it's about jobs. So we now have a jobs bill down there, but the jobs bill talks about us being the preferred provider for new companies, existing companies, to retrain, to get state incentives moving forward. But in order for us to do that, we are guaranteeing that we can be responsive, that we can turn around a jobs proposal in 30 days and possibly a plan within 60 and roll out. Some of our colleges think they can do it, but we are not organized to be that responsive. So we're trying to organize ourselves to be responsive within the business community. So we're going to be building a structure that's all about jobs. It's all about finding what are the demands. You probably hear in many sectors that there are a number of jobs out there and we don't have people that are trained for them. We're identifying where those jobs are, and we're understanding what our role is, and we will have a holistic system.